welcome to the 12th Stress Management Workshop for Leeds Beckett University. Thanks ever so much for tuning in. Hi, my name is Jen, and in the next half an hour we're going to go through a topic today which is quite close to my heart because I've used it many times along my journey, and that is the 7 tips to strengthen your intuition. So if this is your first time to these workshops, then awesome. I'm going to use the next few minutes to signpost you back to other relevant stress management workshops. I've been holding these due to the recent COVID-19 crisis, but as we all know now, the laws in the UK are starting to relax. So it's been quite a journey for everyone on so many different levels. Everyone's been on so many different journeys with this crisis, and these series of workshops have been really created with you in mind, with a very practical element as well. So if you have been struggling for maybe even the first time in your life, the damaging impacts of stress, which might even lead to anxiety or if not depression, possibly, depending on your situation, then again, these workshops are there to help you. So just a quick overview. This is obviously the 12th, there's been 11 weeks before. I won't go through all of them, but I believe that the most important one out of the stress management workshops that I've done to date is definitely week number 1, and that is the Are You Stressed assessment. Now, it could be you've actually joined me before and you filled out the Are You Stressed assessment already. It's a 25 parts questionnaire, but maybe it's been 11, 12 weeks and you haven't actually checked in with yourself and see if you are still dealing with any negative impacts of stress. Wherever you are, whether you haven't or have actually completed the stress management, so the Are You Stressed assessment, I suggest that you go down to the description box below, find the link number, week number 1, the Are You Stressed assessment, and just check in with yourself and see where you are, see how you feel. If you were to score 14 points plus out of the 25, then this is where I think the workshops will really come in handy. I don't want to alarm you in any shape or form or any way at all, but if you are having a high score once completing that assessment, then I'm here to help. I'm here to give you my support. I'll probably touch briefly onto it a bit further on into this particular workshop today, but I've been a sufferer of stress. I've experienced severe stress in my time when it comes to when it came to businesses, and yeah, I'm here to help you. I'm not obviously a neuroscientist in any shape or form, or not so much either like a therapist, but I've definitely got myself out of stress using 4 natural resources, and this is what also Leeds Beckett University caters for so well, because they have a whole range of amazing fitness classes underneath the brackets that I strongly encourage you to implement into your life to get yourself from maybe a challenging time with stress to back to optimum health. And that is the 4 resources: cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. So again, Beckett University caters really well on the cardio side and also the strength side. The balance really as a resource, as a third one, is more to do with yourself, and yes, in terms of meditation, that will be underneath the balance bracket. And good nutrition, we all know what to do when it comes to looking after ourselves with the foods that we eat, but obviously when stress does happen, a lot of people don't tend to choose the most healthiest of options, but good nutrition is definitely a good resource for you to consider, and that's why it's my 4th resource to implement it into your life. But when it comes to stress, just as a nutshell, people don't tend to realise that stress can affect many different people in different ways. So we might be all going through the same experience of this COVID-19 crisis, but one person could be perceiving the situation in a different way to the person standing next to them, and it all just depends on your makeup, your upbringing, your conditioning, where your situation, where you are right now in your situation. You know, it could have a lot to do with the impact you have if you have a family, the job that you do, the finances that you have. So again, it's not a one size fits all, and again, with the help of these workshops, I've always had that practical element in mind to help you depending on where you are with your journey, because stress, funny enough, actually can become quite addictive, and it's the chemicals that are released in the brain that people can get addicted to, and that's where people don't realise the power of stress and what it can have on your body in a negative way. And again, I don't want to scare you. I'm not saying you are really, really stressed out, but it's always good just to check in with yourself on a regular basis. And things like the Leeds Beckett University caters really well for the cardio side, so a great stress buster there if you were to really go hard on your HIIT classes. And again, when it comes to strength classes, it's good, I think, to always have a very healthy and strong body to operate, because when you've got other things going on in your life, the worst thing is to also think about, you know, the aches and pains you have in your body as well. So go back to the weeks down below. Again, there's links to all these workshops, and just have a look at the titles and see what resonates with you. See which one you think might be of use to you in where you are in your life right now today. So yes, this is, as mentioned, week number 12. It's been a journey, and I do hope that you are okay, because again, as mentioned, it has been stressful. It has been a massive change, and there's been a lot to take on. It sort of happened overnight, really, and it's been an incredible, tiring journey for some. So yes, week number 12, here we are. 7 tips to strengthen your intuition. So this workshop really is for anyone who might be going back to work on Monday, just because, do you actually want to go back to the place that you worked at? And I know there's a lot of financial pressure to go back to work. Some people are not furloughed anymore. I mean, again, I don't know what situation you're in. Feel free to reach out. I'm more than happy to help if you want to go into detail anonymously about your situation in further detail. But yeah, I always think that your inner radar, your intuition is there to help you, to guide you. If you have a lot of fear about going back to work for the wrong reasons, and you're maybe not addressing it, or, you know, that's just a prime example. Are you going back to a place of work that serves you well? I mean, with all this change and all this upset and movements around the coronavirus, this is an opportunity also for a huge change in life, should you want to go down that change, that route. So yeah, that's just one example there. But I've always used my intuition. I've been, I'm still am, I'm actually a business owner, I'm a business coach, and I've been running businesses since 2012. I've had 2 indoor cycling studios, 2 in China and 2 here in Leeds in the UK. And yeah, I've actually learned through reading particular business books, in all honesty, how to tune in and use my intuition. And you tend to find within the sort of business industry that a lot of the great leaders do use and rely heavily on their intuition. And you can't quite describe what intuition is, but everyone, I'm hoping, who are watching it right now, have experienced that feeling, that it's, oh, I have my brother calling me. 1 second. It's my sister's birthday today. Sorry about that. If I just popped off and then jumped back on again, my brother was calling a group chat that I'm in. It's my sister's birthday today. Yeah, it's that feeling that you just can't describe. You can't explain very well, but it sort of pulls or guides you or pushes you into a direction, and you can either choose to go with it or go against it. Now, if you were to revert back to a time, a place, or a decision you've had to make, when you've had to use your intuition, can you think of that right now? And what did you do in that huge, big decision? I mean, it's quite vamped up when you think about getting married and people get jilted at the altar. And yeah, that's obviously their intuition right at the last minute, kicking in, screaming loud and clear, you are not doing the right thing, do not marry this person. Obviously more of a comical value, because that really only happens in films and you know, TV series. But that's just a very dramatic example. I'm not saying that anyone's had that happen to them. I really hope not anyway, but that's just one extreme example. And briefly touching up upon the whole work situation, most people do tend to have decisions when it comes to work, you know, big ones to make in their life, and that's when intuition can really play a huge part. So it could be for anyone really who is just curious about how to use your intuition. You could be in your 20s, you could be studying or finishing up your exams, and you're wanting to maybe work out what the next move is moving forward when it comes to your career. And you don't necessarily need to be in the industry that you've educated yourself in. You could quite easily change direction. Again, it's all about really honing in on that inner dial, your intuition. So it could be this workshop for people like yourself there. And anyway, it could be even a woo type subject. Some people watching this might even think that intuition is just a bit of a flaky idea, because there's no real science, there's no real concrete proof, well, not proof, but description really as to what intuition is. But it is a feeling, and I'm sure most of us at least once or twice have felt that strong, overpowering feeling, and that's there is your intuition. So these are the 7 tips to strengthen your intuition. So the first one, feel free to write this down, you can obviously if you need to. So I reckon tip number 1 is to, firstly, if it comes to a situation like a job choice or going back to something, like going back to a job, or maybe deciding whether to go with a person in terms of relationship, or whether to end a relationship, or whatever it is that you want, you need to firstly recognise when your intuition is speaking to you. So if you think about it, your thoughts and whatever is going on up here, that's logical. But that feeling is like a body sensation. And if you've got a feeling towards something, usually that is your intuition talking. And it's all about acknowledging it before the thoughts start clouding your judgment. And that leads to my second point, is you need to go to that first gut feeling that you have towards something. So let's say you had 2 job offers on the same day, and what is your first gut feeling, your first feeling towards which one you should go for? And more often than not, it's that first initial feeling, that's your intuition talking. And again, it's best to recognise that near enough the minute it happens, we need to make a decision before your logic starts creeping in, before you start assessing the situation, before you start becoming overwhelmed with the options, before you start getting confused about what to do, and you start calling up your friends and family and having all these other opinions, cloud your judgment. You need to put all that aside, all those opinions and should you or should you not aside, and then it's just all about having that instant feeling come through and then go, that's what my intuition wants me to do. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 leads on to me suggesting, if you can't find that first initial reaction, that gut feeling, I'm going to turn the lights on as it's going to rain, I think, outside. I would suggest that you, thirdly as a tip, take yourself away from the situation. So actually the COVID crisis could be a prime example of this, because we've spent weeks, some of us, pondering over, is it the job or the career that I want to go back to whenever the government gives us the green light to go back. Most of us are planning to go back to work on Monday. How does that make you feel? And it's not about what you think you should do, but it's how you feel. And I know it's difficult because we have responsibilities in our life, right? We have the rent to pay, we have children to look after, you have your own sanity, so you need the income coming in to cover the bills. But also the intuition, again, is there to guide you. And if it's really, really hard for you to understand what you should do intuitively, then take yourself away from the situation, and it's all about just giving yourself some space and then coming back to that decision. And then again, if that feeling comes up, when you give yourself that time to think about it again, or to allow that feeling to make a decision to come through, then that is a good thing to do. If you cannot make a decision, if you cannot understand what you should be doing for you, because your intuition really is there to guide you, it's your friend. We've all been built, and it's like an inbuilt sat-nav system, and it really does guide you through the highs and the lows of life. And I have had times personally when I've gone against my intuition, and I've certainly paid the price for ignoring it. Not because I chose not to ignore it on purpose, I just had so much logical influence over my decision that I really didn't check back in with myself and realise what I truly wanted in certain situations and experiences. So again, it's such a powerful thing to learn to be friends with. And if you go against it, you tend to find anyway that life does become tricky. It's like you're always running into or against the wind, really, and you've always got resistance and nothing else is going your way because you're not on your path, as it were. Tip number 4 to strengthening your intuition is to actually deepen your intuition. And how do you do that? Meditation. I'm a massive fan of meditation. It got me out of my darkest days. I would always highly recommend anyone to meditate, because I think as we grow up and we go into life with career choices and kids and relationships, and you can do so much for so many things in your life and for so many people and businesses and whatever it is that you do, you don't really take time away from yourself, and you are the most important person. So meditation, in my eyes anyway, quite a subjective thing for anyone to do, but for me it helps me tune back into what I want, like the original Jen. So if you don't meditate, I would always recommend anyone to just maybe try it, see how it goes for you. But it's definitely another way to strengthen your intuition, because you can really, really tune in as to what you actually want on a subconscious level. Tip number 5, dedicate time to listen to your intuition every day. So again, meditation is key, but mindfulness meditation. So not so much, to be mindfulness, not meditation, that was a previous point. But I think just to have some quality time with yourself, again, it allows you to reconnect with who you are, what you want to set out to achieve. If you're off your path and you didn't even realise you had a path, but everyone's got a journey, right? But some people know it more so than others. But if you get knocked off your journey, your path, your intuition is there to maybe guide you back onto it. But if you're just completely stressed out and you have so much going on and you just cannot see the wood through the trees, your intuition probably isn't coming through as loud as what it needs to be for you to make decisions on. So I always suggest to take some time out for yourself to reconnect with who you are, a break from the kids maybe, your own personal break from work, a little weekend away, just you time. And again, that's when you can start reconnecting, and that's when your intuition will have that space to start coming through again. Tip number 6, take immediate action. So imagine if you've had that intuition come through and you intuitively decide on X, Y, and Z, whatever it is you're making a decision on, and all of a sudden the logic starts creeping in and then you just get confused again. So again, it's just all about, you've made a decision and stick to it. Take immediate action. So just run with that first initial feeling, even if you don't understand it. You probably thought, oh, okay, that goes against what I might think towards something. It's not. Just go with that instant reaction, that gut feeling, and then that's your intuition talking, and act on it straight away, whatever it is. Like, say yes to the job A over job B, or break up with that person if you're in a bad relationship, or move house because you've been living in an unhappy home for years. Like, whatever your situation is, go with your guts and act on it straight away. And I would say as well, as a 7th point, is to, I've just really mentioned, but trust your guts and hunch. And yeah, and again, I've spoken about this already, but yeah, it is your friend, it is your inner guide, it's your inner compass. And without it, I reckon life would be firstly quite boring, but it's there. It really is there to help you navigate yourself through life. There's only so much, I don't really know the point I'm trying to say, but yeah, there's only so much ignoring of your intuition you can do, because if you want to learn the hard way, which I've done many times when it comes to business decisions in particular, life does just become so much more harder because you're not listening to what you should be doing. So it's a great tool, and we're just not taught it at school. It really is something that wasn't even spoken about. And maybe sometimes it might come across as a bit of a woo subject, but again, along my journey, when I started to pick up business books in my mid-20s, when I started operating businesses, most of the people that I admire, I aspire to, do meditate. They do use their intuition. They use their gut feeling to make business decisions. And therefore, because I'm just in that world of business, I've learned to do that as well, because it's the best tool in your toolbox, and everyone has it. It just depends whether you are looking after yourself in order to hear it loud and clear when you need to hear what you should be doing on certain things. So that is the end of the 7 tips to strengthen your intuition. I've never actually finished before time today, and I can't see any questions that come through. I mean, I'm not too sure again of this type of interface, but I'm going to hang here. If you have any questions, then please fire away. Or if not, you can send me a message. Please let me know what you want to talk about in future workshops. I believe I will be doing these types of workshops for the foreseeable, because I am actually a spin instructor, and I do spin, or used to, Monday and Thursdays at Leeds Beckett University, but of course spinning isn't really very practical right now, so that's why I'm doing these workshops. And the reason why I feel I've got some experience to pass over to you if you have been struggling with stress is because I've been burnt out myself, and it's not a pretty place to fall into. And it obviously, these things, they don't happen overnight. It's really a series of things that I was personally doing. I wasn't really looking after myself, and they just stack up, they just accumulate, and then before you know it, stress in your life becomes your new normal. And then you learn to ignore the signs that your body is trying to shout out and give to you. Really, my intuition was screaming loud and clear that I needed to change my busy, hectic business lifestyle I had in Shanghai, China. I had a lot of success, but I've actually learned the hard way, and a few of the greats do learn, and they have been through similar paths. I should have read those books. I should have, they should have come into my life before I did the thing of going through it, and then realising on the other side that it's not all about working and chasing the money and the success and always serving everyone else. It was my wake-up call, really. You need to really, and this experience taught me, you need to look after yourself. And people, I think, they don't know how to really look after themselves. It is a skill, because again, I don't know about your experiences growing up during school, but I personally wasn't taught the real importance of health and wellness and things like meditation. Well, I don't think it was even spoken about, even in the UK, it seemed. I mean, obviously it was with books and the library, but there's now meditations that schools do for kids. That to me is amazing. I'm so for that, because meditation got me out of my darkest days when it came to stress, depression, anxiety, and I would always recommend it. And it just goes hand in hand when you start to learn who you are as a person. Things or tools that we have at our hands, like our intuition, become so powerful, and you wouldn't sort of lead life without using them, really. Because you can't see it, sometimes it's hard to describe, or it's hard to relay onto someone else as a piece of guidance. But it really, really does save a lot of heartache and stress in the long run if you were to use your intuition. Sometimes situations, they just feel bad and you have no idea why, but you need to trust in that. You can't sit there with a pen and paper when it comes to deciding between 2 jobs, if that's going to be the best job for you or not. You just have to go with your feeling, because at the end of the day, we all live with how we feel. And if you have enough value, which I'm sure you do, but for yourself, you wouldn't live in a situation or put yourself in a situation that doesn't serve you well. And I know it's easier said than done, because when it comes to jobs, or people that you work with, or something that has a negative impact, it's hard to walk away. But you have to really honour that feeling and honour yourself in order to always place yourself in the best possible situation, and always focus on your happiness, because once you're happy and you've got to yourself to your optimum health, everything else is just a lot easier, and you will shine as a person as well as everyone else around you, because you are on your path. So with the foods that you eat, that gives you the right energy, it serves your body well, it obviously gives you the great, healthy mind. There's so much into food that we are still learning, and the benefits. Yet it just tends to be, unfortunately, when we're stressed, food choices just go straight out the window. And a lot of people obviously, grab the sugary snacks and bad, unhealthy foods just because it's comfort in that moment. But the long term is just, it's harder to do. And most of us, being human, we always gravitate towards things that are easy for us. And looking after yourself isn't easy for the majority. It really isn't. It's hard to be strict with yourself when it comes to, not a diet, I don't like using that word, but eating healthily and meditating and working out and doing all the other stuff as well, doing things that make you happy, because it's hard to prioritize you over a busy lifestyle. And I know we've just been through a massive crisis, and we've still got a journey ahead of us, haven't we? But in general, once the COVID crisis is over and we just talk about it, of it being in the past and a few years to come, our busy lives will get busy again. And that's when stress can quite easily creep up, because it's that busyness. That's when people start to struggle with stress, that busy lifestyle. So, yeah. Again, any questions, and feel free to shout out. You can catch me here, or feel free to private message me if you do have any concerns about your stress. If you do feel you've experienced anxiety throughout this whole COVID-19 crisis, then I get it, I've been there. It is a uncomfortable experience, but the key is to always try and maintain that your health. And again, those 4 natural resources: cardio, strength, balance, and good nutrition. And again, Leeds Beckett University caters so well for the classes. And there is a challenge actually coming up, and I would always recommend you to do as much as you can when it comes to the classes that Leeds Beckett University does. But try, if you've never done anything before in terms of cardio or strength work, try and do some strength work. And you might even enjoy it. And I know it's hard, because it's really about trying to reorganize your life, because we don't seem to prioritize what really is important. And that's what some of the workshops in previous weeks have tried to get you to do. Because when, again, you've got no clear path or no vision for your future, that's what these exercises in previous weeks have tried to do for you, is to try and get you back on that track. Because again, when stress takes over, your judgment gets very clouded, and it's hard work to know what to do for the best. But always put yourself first. Easier said than done, I know, especially when we've got so much going on right now with financials, and whether or not to send kids back to school, and whose house we're going to sleep over now that we can, bubble around someone else's household, and, that sort of thing. But do what's right for you always, and that will always, as a rule, serve you well in life. And be friends with your intuition. I hope this workshop helped in some way. Please let me know. I mean, if you've got a subject or a topic you want me to talk about in future weeks, then I am all ears. Feel free to drop any comments in the description box. Give me a like as well, because again, I'm here to help. And if you do have something in particular, I'm more than happy to try and help in whichever way I can. So anyway, again, my name's Jen. Thanks ever so much for listening, and I will see you, no doubt, next week. You take care.